Welcome to the Happiest Place, where we explore how to win at life and achieve your deepest dreams. I'm Brandi Hudson, a performance coach and happiness expert. Each week, we'll dive into practical strategies to help you live your best life by harnessing the power of high vibration emotions. Whether you're looking to improve your relationships, career, health, or overall well-being, this podcast is your guide to creating a life you truly love. Let's get started on your journey to becoming the happiest version of yourself.
Hello.
Oh, hey, friend.
How you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm in the happiest place. How you think I'm doing?
Happy.
True story. Speaking of true stories, today we're going to talk about success.
Oh, I love success.
Same. What's success?
Oh my gosh. For me, I define success for myself and for my clients as the ability to peacefully align with your inherent potential.
Sounds really, really simple.
So
tell me more.
Well, I think sometimes people define success from a monetary perspective, or perhaps a well-being perspective, or perhaps from a relationship perspective. And all of those things can go into it, but we all have this kind of inherent potential in all aspects of our lives. I think of our life as these three legs to our stool: our relationships, romantic and platonic, our careers and financial abundance, and then our health and well-being, right? All three legs of the stool have potential that we can reach. And I know we've talked in the past about having it all. And so it's really about reaching your inherent potential in each of those buckets while also being at peace, while also not feeling a lot of friction in your life. To me, that is the true definition of success.
I want to talk about this stool. I don't know if I'm dating myself. Dennis the Menace. Right.
Okay.
The opening credits. He's running, and she's standing on one hand, catching plates here, doing this as he's tearing the world apart. We could probably use a different example, but it's fine. Okay. That's what you just said sounded to me. You said there's a three-legged stool. We have to manage each leg of the stool while being at peace. Why do I feel nervous
about me? Did I mention the legs of the stool?
The stool is just a stool, right? I just need to know.
The stool is just the stool, and you have an inherent potential in each of them. Like perhaps you came to this world in this lifetime and you will have a spouse or a relationship. Perhaps you were meant to have multiple platonic relationships with friends. Maybe you'll be the CEO of an organization. Maybe you'll run a big investment firm or be a PM at one. Maybe you will. The list just goes on and on and on, right? But you want to peacefully align with those things. So the fact that just the thought of it made you feel stressed means that there's something in you that associates success with stress.
I feel what I was hearing was that I'd have to pay attention to each one at the same time. Are some legs already inherently balanced? And so the work that I have to do.
We don't need to think about the legs, first of all. You asked me a definition of success, and it really is just peacefully aligning to your inherent potential. And then I was building on that. We have these three areas of our lives, each of which we have desires in, right? Regardless of what those desires are. And the goal of feeling and leaving this planet knowing you had a successful life is to align with the potential in all aspects of our life, but from this place of peace, from this place of ease, from this place of flow where it feels synchronicity, things line up for you. You feel what is meant for you is drawn to you, right? You are a receiver of the life that you aspire to have.
So that aspiration and those desires that you mentioned that we deserve.
Yes.
Right? That we have the potential to achieve. How do we discover what those are? How do we identify those in a way that separates a desire from something frivolous, I'll say, or something that is born of something other than what is the best thing for me or what is meant for me? How do I identify and do a little bit of self-discovery work?
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, we just want to clear what is in us, right? We really want to do this healing work of gratitude and meditation and journaling. And all of this work is to really quiet our mind so that it's very easy for us to know what is ours and what isn't ours, right? And it's not actually trying to get to a place. It's actually just releasing everything that isn't yours, because it's everything that isn't yours that's preventing you from being aligned to who you're meant to be. You already have everything you need to be who you aspire to be at a soul level. The work is just releasing the limiting beliefs, releasing the dense emotions that you're circling around. It's all about releasing so you can just be who you're meant to be.
You keep using that word releasing. What does releasing look like? Is it an active endeavor? Is it a feeling? Is it a literal push?
It's definitely not pushing away, because anything you push is going to push back and it's going to hold on tighter, right? So we don't want to be in this place of pushing it away, but we do want to ask ourselves, what's mine? What isn't mine? Right? And then we want to take action, because we do have to take action to change, right? So we're not just going to wake up and be like, I wish I was different and maybe tonight I'll be different. No. You have to do something different to have a different outcome, right? So if you keep doing what you're doing today, you will live a version of your life that feels slightly improved over time until you expire, right? But if you want to make these big shifts in your life, then you have to take inspired action, right? So you have to have a commitment that every day you're going to do something to move yourself one step closer to your dreams. And that looks very different for everyone. But as I mentioned earlier, it's those three things: meditation, journaling, and having a gratitude practice are three things that can materially shift your life if you actually do them correctly for a significant period of time.
How much of release, because I'm stuck on this now, I think it's such a great sort of topic to dig into. How much of release is acknowledging a feeling?
Yeah, awareness is a huge step in release, because what we often do to convince ourselves we're kind of staying in these higher vibration emotions is we just run from the thing that makes us feel uncomfortable or sad or angry, and we don't actually feel into that emotion and understand why it's showing up for us, right? So releasing really is about this understanding, about this awareness. It's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Why is this showing up for me? What are you trying to teach me? And the minute you get the lesson, the minute you understand why it was there, the minute you feel those feelings deeply, they release, they move on, because the goal is just to know why they showed up in the first place. And the opposite is also true. Until you actually do that work, they'll keep showing up.
How do we avoid burnout as we're doing this work? How do we keep that momentum going?
Well, I think that's a fascinating question. I appreciate someone asking it, but why would you get burned out working on yourself?
Why would you? Person that asked the question.
Yeah, I think that's a tricky one. I've always resisted a workout more than I've ever regretted it.
Fair.
I've never felt the work that I do, my personal development work, it's never felt taxing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really brought up big things that I've had to navigate and work through and that I didn't have a deep awareness of, but getting to the other side has always been a big relief. And so I would say a couple of things. If it feels taxing, if it feels hard, if it feels challenging consistently, maybe there's another path that's available to them that can help them more easily get to the other side, because that's not what the experience should be.
What does self-acceptance feel in this conversation?
Oh my, I love that question.
No.
Self-acceptance, it's really tricky to explain what it, say it again.
Be confused with settling, right? Some people are like, well, I love me. This is me.
Oh, that's so interesting. Why would you connect loving you with settling?
No, when I think I've heard folks use it as an excuse.
Oh, no, that's
Like,
different.
This is just how I am.
No, that
So
is not, that's not actual self. That's not self-acceptance.
I love me.
That I would call spiritual bypassing.
Let's go back. We'll get to the spiritual bypass.
We'll come back to that later. Yeah.
Let's talk about self-acceptance. How does that
real
help?
self-acceptance,
Yeah.
right? That's making an excuse for perhaps treating someone poorly or perhaps making a mistake. So what self-acceptance does actually look is loving ourselves in all the ways, accepting every iteration of ourselves. So I did this thing and I would have preferred to not have done it, right? But I'm okay with it now. And what it looks is just this idea that I can have grace with myself regardless of the choices that I make, regardless of how my decisions turn out. And that kind of grace that we have with ourselves allows us to be in a space of growth, right? But when we are hard on ourselves, when we don't accept ourselves, we're going to be a little bit on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can't actually move forward when we're in that state of constantly reflecting and thinking we should be different.
Is there an order of operations here? Is it, a self-assessment, release, self-acceptance, keep going and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep practicing it? Or is there this takeoff point where the growth trajectory continues to happen, right? You talked about release. You talked about sort of making sure that we have clarity. We talked about figuring out what that desire looks. What is there? Is there a formula?
Yeah. No, there's not. And I think as humans, we really want one. It's a way that our brain sorts, but most of the work is learning to trust that it's all going to work out and learning to trust that while you may not know the order of operations, that you're going to be divinely inspired, or you're going to have an intuition, or you're going to have a gut feeling, you're going to have a knowing, and that when you follow that, it all works out. And so this lifetime is oftentimes about trust and faith. And it isn't about having an algorithm. There is no algorithm, right? And so what I think is foundational to having this great life, right, is self-acceptance, self-love, and worthiness.
Yeah.
When you have those three things and you just vigilantly follow your knowing, then you're going to be on this path where things start to work out. But there is no algorithm.
You've referenced a couple of times in a couple of episodes, talk about working out or exercising, right? And I think sometimes people, when they begin to exercise, they see results and then experience a plateau.
Okay.
For growth work, how do you turn either a plateau or a setback? How do you come out of that?
Oh, yeah, I love that. This really resonates with me because I felt I had this really huge manifestation, and then I just kind of was pretty flat, right? And I was, okay, we're going to go up and to the right from here. I'm just going to get another one and another one and another one. And what I realized is I stopped doing what had gotten me there,
Yeah.
And so then I was, oh, well, aren't they just going to keep coming, right? And so we have to keep doing the work, and it may evolve, but it probably won't just stop, but it may evolve. And we want to reflect on, why do we think we're in this plateau, right? It really is getting crystal clear. And sometimes we just have reached the upper limit of our capacity, right? Our capacity to hold something bigger, hold a larger, more loving relationship, our capacity to hold on to, a thinner version of ourselves, our capacity to live in a bigger house, or our capacity to have this bigger job or to earn more money, right? We all have capacity. And the work, the healing work, the letting go that I'm talking about is really expanding our capacity to hold something bigger in our lives. And so the plateau may be, okay, I've reached the upper limit of my capacity, and what do I need to focus on to get more capacity, to get to the next level, and to stay at that level and not feel one step forward, two steps back.
I feel like it's a good way to sort of end on thinking about what is our capacity to get to maintaining and growing our happiest place. How big can the happiest place be? And is there room for everyone?
Yeah,
I think so.
It's infinitely large and there's no constraints. And our work is just to keep moving towards our dreams.
I love it.
Thank you all. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to The Happiest Place. Remember, your dreams are meant for you, and you have the power to create the life you desire. Don't forget to send in your questions for future episodes. I'm here to help you on your path to happiness and success. Until next time, stay curious, take radical responsibility, and keep vibrating high.